Well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Jeffrey Darty, the Christian whistleblower, coming to you still from an undisclosed location somewhere deep in the heart of flyover country. He, of course, is Wayne Steiger, my partner here each and every Sunday morning. And Wayne, I know we're supposed to spring forward. I'm kind of lurching forward, but I'm here.
The insanity of man, I'm telling you. Well, I mean, why do we do this?
Why do we do it? I mean, isn't it a farm thing back when everybody was milking cows and doing stuff like that?
Yes, we were more an agrarian society. Have you gone out and milked your cow today?
I
Did
don't even,
Bessie really know the difference?
in the words of Arnold Schwarzenegger, I don't drink milk.
Because I'm
Milk is
thinking,
for babies.
so up there, I guess in Scotland, Ireland, y'all folks, I hear it gets like daylight at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Do they still milk goats up there?
I don't know. I
You
don't
know, if
know.
it has nipples, you can milk it, according to Fokker.
I'm not touching that.
What about me, Fokker? I got nipples. Can you milk me?
I love it. Well, I just want to say hello to everyone. Looks like we got a crowd in here. Hello, everyone.
And Wayne, daylight savings time, right? So technically, we're all right now time traveling, right?
Yes, we have.
We are all time traveling. And it's March 10th, 2019. But how do we know it's March 10th, 2019?
Well, you see, this is the one time where everybody can be a psychic and see into the future. It could be whatever we have decided to do. It's an hour that we simply made happen. And then
Yeah,
we just magically take it away.
right. But there's a lot of people that think that, as Tracy Dyer chimes in and Nigel right on time, that it's really only 1019. It's not 2019.
I contend we don't know what time it really is.
My only problem with that is I could see where, let's say, the Catholic Church is in charge, and they were up until, I mean, you could argue they still are, but they were in complete control for probably up until 1,000 years ago, being, just round figures. And if they decided to change 1,000 years, they could have done it. But my only question is, and I was actually thinking about this last night or this morning or somewhere in between, if the Catholic Church changed it, but there's still the Chinese, there's still the Japanese, it's still the Russians, and they have their own calendars. So it would take a great big huge conspiracy for everybody to change it, unless it was changed by something higher than our pay grade.
In my research, I contend there are several events that we could put on the long calendar, and put them in the events that they happen. 12 AD is one. Something happened in 12 AD. You look at what happened to the church. It was the beginning of the Inquisition. It was also the beginning of what many called the Second Renaissance, that there was an explosion of knowledge, awareness, and the evil empire came in and just crushed it, the Cathars.
You're talking about 1200 AD.
Yes, 1200 AD. Yep. And even if you look within the Catholic Church, you look at the popes, Pope Pius, these cats that were sick dudes, man. That's all they were, sick dudes. And people sometimes say, well, we seem to get so hard on the Christian religion. It's the only one I knew. If I was, in fact, born a Hindu, I would know the Hindu religion very well. I only know the Christian religion.
Right.
And so when you find out the fraud that it is, it's odd that we're talking about this. Lynn and I were literally talking before we went live. I said, I have 6 witnesses that will testify before the courts of time that there was no such person as Yeshua. None. And my 6 witnesses, they wrote history. They are written into history. And the first thing that most, unfortunately, Christians never study history is Vespasian. He's my first witness. Vespasian will tell you no such person ever existed. My second witness will be one that they had hoped so desperately for, but we know that even he, Flavius Josephus, is my second witness. My third witness is one Philo of Alexandria. And I can go on from there. My fifth witness in this case would be one Flavius Titus, Emperor of Rome. And my sixth witness in this case would be his brother, Dalmon, that was also emperor.
Right. And by the way, Joseph Atwell will be on my channel here in a few days, author of Caesar's Messiah.
Yeah, perfect timing.
Yep. And, I would like to believe that Jesus was real. I really would.
I'd love to too. Yeah.
And yet there's not any historical, empirical, objective evidence. And that's probably one of the things I get yelled at the most about. And it won't be 3 lines before somebody's calling us blasphemers in this channel as well. And I mean, there's just, you can really, not me, but some people would really, really like to believe in Santa.
I kind of dig the idea.
But there's no Santa either, ladies and gentlemen. Although, Wayne, I did know someone that, a grown person, rational person, sane person, that does still see Santa every year. Of course, they're seeing a thought form or a tulpa. But Jesus just wasn't real. I mean, he just was not real.
Someone, a really good friend of mine, Rennie, she and I exchanged.
I don't think.
Well, listen. Let's take the genealogy of,
Genealogical.
thank you, from Christ to Adam, and they go to great lengths. I know 3 different times 2 in the Old and 1 in the New, where they go through the whole listing of the begats. So
those are great chapters to read too, aren't they? Aren't those a lot of fun?
It's like eating raw cracker, oyster crackers, no water. But here's the problem.
Did you ever play the game where you take the pack of crackers, crumble them up, stick them in your mouth, and whoever whistles first wins?
No.
It's a good one. You and Lynn should try that.
I have to try that sometime. But the point comes back to, and again, I have a problem when you see 1 Corinthians 13, 4-8, that sign that's right above my head. I don't know who that God is. That God is not in the Bible. It's written about, but it's never manifested. I read recently that, they're talking about a Vatican III, right? The thing that they're having to discuss is how do they disassociate the Christianity now with Old Testament. The Old Testament is now proving to be too much of a liability. The whole God structure that's set up into the Old Testament does not transfer to the New Testament. And if you want to make the link, and wasn't it Joseph in his book, Caesar's Messiah, they tried 3 other gods. They all failed.
Interesting.
And so the problem we have now with one Yahweh, Elohim, is that he's a murderer. How, and here's the thing.
Is that a
Jeff.
problem, Wayne?
It's a huge problem for me. And Jeff, could you answer this question for me? How can a perfect being, entity, create something imperfect?
That's a great point. Here's one I never heard. Christ is liquid gold.
I'd heard that one before.
Yeah, I don't know what that is. That's
I don't know what that means. But
Yeah.
See, people, we don't meditate on this. How can this screwed up thing that I live in, you and I live in, we all live in, imperfect, how did this come from a perfect being? And don't give me the tripe that, he let free will go. No, I can prove you a liar on that multiple times. The only way that this makes sense is that God is imperfect.
Well, the being that is worshipped as God is demonstrably imperfect. There's no doubt about it.
No doubt about it.
And self-admittedly imperfect.
Yes.
If you consider jealousy an imperfection, if you consider wrath an imperfection, if you consider being a murderer an imperfection.
Yeah, how do you deal with your creation? Well, Lynn and I were talking. I said, the only way hell can exist is that God has to be there.
Nigel says that God is a psychopath, and I really think that's an insult to psychopaths. I really do.
Oh.
Psychopaths haven't approached the level of the horrific things that this being that is called God has done.
Yeah, and
I mean, Hannibal Lecter's a choir boy compared to this being called Yahweh.
I don't even
Ted
think he.
Bundy is a Boy Scout and really was compared to this being called
Yeah,
Yahweh.
Yahweh.
And that's not even his name. He stole that name.
Yeah, I don't know what this name of this. I have a
I
video.
call him Yalda Bayoff.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what I think you are.
Or Rat Bastard.
Yeah. You know, I'm doing a video called God is Insane.
Oh, no doubt about it.
I mean, everywhere you look around, it's insanity.
And blind. I mean, Sackless means the blind God, and that's another name given to him.
Well, and if you go back even further, there's a term for that called the blind, ready for this, the blind serpent.
And how about the blind leading the blind?
Ooh.
Where do you both wind up? In a ditch.
But isn't that
what are
always
ditches in Florida? You know what ditches are full of, Wayne? Snakes.
serpents?
They are.
Them serpents, they be everywhere. I'm telling you, this is everywhere.
Not the good kind.
It's and so we get back to this thing. The thing about Lynn and I were talking. This is our fifth.
That's like the fifth or sixth Lynn mentioned today. That's awesome.
Yeah, we've just had some great conversations because we get into these great. We take on the theological side of it to what we've learned, and we do a comparison. 5 years ago,
are there any plant medicines involved in these discussions?
No. Remember, my wife is a chief medical officer.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
They frown on that.
Yeah, you have no idea.
You mean that's not allowed?
Yeah, most people couldn't handle her job. Just the regulatory requirements are absolutely crushing. And we're supposedly living in an age of where man's efficiencies are coming forth. I don't see it. She doesn't see it. You know, the other problem.
Cliff Desmond is in the house.
Hello, Cliff. The other thing that she has a problem with is the millennials. They're not reliable.
Are they supposed to be?
Well, you figure by the time someone gets to about, their 40s that you...
Am I supposed to be? You mean you want me to come here on time?
Yeah, exactly. What? And
I got to tuck my shirt in and pull my pants up?
Don't even talk about taking away my cell phone.
And you don't want me to be here high? What?
Yeah. Vaping.
Where's my check, man?
It's like, what's this vaping? Everywhere.
Everybody vapes. I don't understand it. I guess it's better than smoking for me, not for them. I guess it's even worse, but
I don't know. So that's
great marketing though, isn't it?
Isn't it though?
This is worse for you than cigarettes, but you should do it anyway.
They have a toke.
Okay.
When I started seeing advertising on television, I'm going, and they had that little disclaimer, this product contains nicotine, which is highly addictive. And I went, really? When did this suddenly...
Is there such a thing as vaping other smokable substances? Let's just leave it at that. Do they vape weed?
Oh, yeah.
And how do we know they're not weed vaping when they say they're just nicotine vaping?
I don't know.
Eventually. Sean Reed says, I'm vaping right now.
Well, vape that.
Secondhand vape is out of control.
Well,
the bearded one. Be a man. Smoke a cigarette.
When I was growing up, cigarette commercials were everywhere. You had the Marlboro Man.
Oh, yeah. I remember the Marlboro Man. He was like cool.
Yeah, he was very cool.
Sitting on the horse.
You had Lark. I'd rather fight than switch. Remember that?
Oh, that's right. That what cigarette brand was that?
I think it's
oh, I can't remember that.
Anyway,
was a good one. I'd rather fight than switch. Yeah.
I
remember Cool too. KOOL.
Yeah.
What about the ones that were menthol? I remember menthol commercials too.
Yeah. We grew up in that. In fact, it's odd. Doctors in the 40s recommended pregnant women to smoke.
Of course they did.
Yeah.
Lucky
Medical
Strike.
science.
Real men smoke Lucky Strikes.
Yeah. Pall Malls.
I'd walk a mile for a Camel or something like that.
Something like that. Absolutely. And the Camel, that was really got to be in the 70s. That was really hip, because they started doing different things in the... Yeah.
Viceroy. There's a name from the...
There's a name. My aunt and uncle smoked Viceroys. I remember that.
Well, Sarah Kay's grandma smoked Viceroys.
Yeah. Look at that. You see, here we
You've
go
come a
again.
long way, baby.
Yeah,
Virginia
Virginia
Slim.
Slims. Yeah. So they really got into the whole movement. And now the tobacco industry is moving into the cannabis industry.
Oh yeah. So that means it's GMO pot coming your
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that, Fockers? Just asking. Benson and Hedges. Oh yeah.
I have no doubt by I suspect 2022,
Yes,
we'll,
Tanya.
we'll see complete legalization nationally.
And it'll be GMO government controlled. So it's just going to be another. Can you imagine what's going to happen when and I'm just going to say it, when all of you people that smoke all of your weed are huffing and puffing on GMO weed? Civilization is over, Wayne, at that point. Monsanto will have complete control of all the biobots.
Well, I contend
I think I'm the only guy that doesn't smoke pot anymore.
well, give it time. You know, what did Solomon say? This too shall pass.
Yeah.
But I'm in the camp with
Kush is GMO, says Shane. Why do you think it's so popular? Is that
there you
true?
go. Well, listen, the big pharma is all about having you as a customer.
Yeah.
And big
Forever and
pharma
ever
is
and ever.
investing in cannabis.
Yeah. No, Wayne, you're wrong. Big Pharma is doing it because they love us so much. Just
Yeah,
ask
they
Rex.
do. Come on, baby. Well, speaking of Rex, him and I think, are on the same wavelength. I contend we are in the midst of the sixth great extinction. Us.
Hmm.
You
Well, it could
keep
be
saying,
argued that it'd do the planet a favor if we went extinct.
well, you keep on saying we're the last generation.
We are.
But I contend that there are no true human beings. And the thing that has really gotten me, and I have really begun to think about this deeply, all mud suits don't contain the same vessel.
And Tracy said they're going to weed out all the low vibe people. Ooh, a little play on
Oh,
words there. I like
boy,
it.
Tracy, up early, girl.
She
And
is up early and she's
man,
rocking and rolling. She has sprung forward.
yes, she
I'm
definitely
lurking forward,
has.
but she's sprung forward.
Yes.
How did the fundraiser go with Warrior Queen?
I think we did really well.
Good.
Yeah, very well. She does got a little good work down there.
She really does.
It's one of the, how did we do? Because I told people not to give through YouTube. That is just
right. Warrior Queen, put in your PayPal again. I know I should know it, but put in your PayPal so if people want to contribute for your food bank that they can, please.
So, here in the Front Range of Colorado, I think we may actually get slammed this week.
I'll be there in May.
Are you coming in May?
I am. Well, I've already got my reservations.
Good. You staying in the tech center? Where are you staying at?
Well, I don't like to disclose my location, Wayne, because I'm like really important.
Well, okay, I can dig that. While you're here, there is a great place to stay out by the airport. They have the new Operaland out there, the Gaylord Properties.
We already have our reservations. So.
Okay.
And for those of you that are thinking about coming, you will be able to meet in person the one, the only, the guaranteed shredded Jay Campbell. He's also made his reservations.
Jay is coming in, huh?
He is.
Well, should be fun.
And you could meet the two people that delivered me from Fiasco in the desert, too. They'll be there as well.
Who's that?
Their name is Mike and Kim. Mike's a great chiropractor in Pasco County, Florida.
Mm-hmm.
And Kim runs the office for him. They'll be out there for the Denver LeakCon or RexCon or whatever it's called. I think it's called LeakCon, right? I think it's called LeakCon.
I think it's called LeakCon.
I think it should have been called RexCon because LeakCon sounds like it's like a bathroom conference or something.
National Toilet Association.
No, it's LeakCon. It's all about urine therapy, ladies and gentlemen. Come on out. Have a great time.
Oh, no, that's just wild.
Bring your own cups.
But this one's not going to be in the desert.
This is not going to be in the desert. It's going to be at the Marriott Tech Data Center in Denver, Colorado, May 16th, I want to say. We're giving Rex a gratuitous plug. May Yeah, it's 16, 17, 18, 19, or at least 17, 18, 19. 16 is a Thursday.
Okay.
Now, Wayne, let me ask you a moral question. Moral
Right.
question. So there's this UFO conference in Arkansas, right? Eureka Springs, Arkansas. Comes up the middle of April. And I was thinking about going, but I can't exhibit there. So, but there's going to be a person there that I've been trying to get to debate me. And I know he'll be at one place at one time. And I'm really tempted to go down there with a camera person and just walk up to him and ask him why he won't debate me live on YouTube. Would that be wrong?
I think I know a guy got a career doing that, Jesse Walters.
Yeah, I was thinking about Alex Jones and him.
Yeah, yeah.
Would that be wrong?
I mean, how do you feel morally on the subject that you want to debate?
Oh, I feel very morally sound on that.
Well, then I think that when you have two moral rights, then the only thing you can do is go left.
That's true. What's the worst thing that can happen? I get escorted out of the place.
Hey, listen, that's a badge of honor.
But that'd be good video too, wouldn't it?
Wouldn't it, though?
And the only thing I have to make sure I say, don't tase me, bro.
Remember, I was in a Boy Scouts, and, we had, our sashes of, the merit badges. That's just one. In fact, that's a great idea. If you ever get escorted out of a meeting, you should get a merit badge.
You should get a merit badge.
Well,
Warrior Queen, you didn't put in your PayPal yet into the chat room, or I missed it.
I didn't see it.
I didn't either.
Yeah.
So I got another conundrum for you, Wayne. Ed McMahon.
Yes.
Ed McMahon. So somebody says Ed McMahon worked for Publishers Clearinghouse. I looked it up. Publishers Clearinghouse has officially stated that Ed McMahon never worked for them. Never worked for them. And yet I've seen video of Ed McMahon handing out Publishers Clearinghouse checks. I've seen video of Johnny Carson handing David Letterman a Publishers Clearinghouse check, ha, 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 because Ed wasn't there. And then they say Ed worked for this American Family Publishers, but American Family Publishers said Ed never left the studio. And then, to make it even weirder, I talked to a woman that worked for a big place in Clearwater that does the same thing, and she actually was trying to negotiate with Ed to work for them, which I think is called Special Data Processing. But Ed McMahon told her to her face, I can't do it because I'm contracted with, wait for it, Publishers Clearinghouse. So that is a legit Mandela effect, in my view.
I never thought about it. I know I always thought he was a paid celebrity spokesperson, but maybe something much more on that. I hadn't even thought about that.
It's crazy, isn't it?
How odd. Ed McMahon.
Ed McMahon.
I still remember him when he was doing helping Jerry Lewis on his telethons.
Oh, was he on the Jerry Lewis telethons?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't remember.
There for a couple of years, yeah. I remember that distinctly. Yeah.
I don't remember that one.
Yeah. How would we know if we have shifted? We wouldn't.
We wouldn't know, would we?
This whole study I did and the whole thing in this book I'm writing, there are no true human beings left on this planet. The bloodlines have been polluted for so long. We would be considered a mutt society, a species. There is no pure breeds within us.
Let me just share this, Wayne, while you're talking.
Okay.
So we can encourage other people to take initiative. Do you see that yet?
Yeah, there we go.
Let's go ahead and let's all help out Warrior Princess.
So the whole thing that I contend with, if we were to have shifted different region of space, different levels of consciousness, we wouldn't know. Inherently, our species has this curse of forgetfulness. We can't remember. You were just talking about the Mandela effect. The whole Mandela effect is predicated in the fact that we can't remember. those who think they can see a different or experienced a different memory. And yet, someone who didn't would look at you and say, well, no, you're wrong because here's the evidence, but you're going to go, I know because I lived it. Jeff, it's weird. It's like the Santeran Omegam I did when the Vatican had its first encounters with the first alien race. And they found out that alien race didn't believe in our God, didn't believe in a savior. They couldn't understand the concept of a savior. So it gets you to thinking. I asked this question: where is it written that we have to believe in a God?
In the Bible.
In the Quran.
In the Quran. In the rabbinical Talmudic literature.
So that's not free will. That alone wipes out the whole theory, the whole premise, the whole dogma, the whole ideology of a free will.
The Inuit say they have an extra hour of hunting time, so the earth is shifted.
Oh, I think it's that they saw that back in 2012. But it gets to this whole point, and sometimes I'm ridiculed on this, but I ask this a simple question. Why is it required for us to choose a God?
It's not.
But if you don't, then you're classified as an atheist. I've been called that. I said, I never said that. I said, if the aliens exist, which I believe they do, and they have recorded they don't believe in this God of this world, none of their gods of this world, but yet they do believe that there is a greater level of consciousness, of awareness that supersedes everything. I can get behind that. I don't have a problem with that at all.
Interesting stuff. And what do you think about Donald Trump signing Bibles in Alabama?
I guess Paula White's really doing her job.
Yeah.
I mean,
I remember Jimmy Swaggart signing Bibles. Nobody had any trouble with that.
No.
I've signed Bibles.
If it gives people hope and comfort, if anything, it's going to be a great memorabilia collectible.
Yeah. I understand that. I've never done this personally, but I understand that Bible paper makes a pretty good paper for rolling a joint, too.
I don't know.
That's just what I've heard, man.
I don't know. I never.
Well, it's nice and thin, and
doesn't the Vatican use the smoke, black smoke, white smoke for,
It's funny you should mention that because I'm looking at an article right now, which I didn't know about, and someone in our chat room said that the Pope apparently met yesterday with the leadership of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, the first such meeting of its kind on the eve of the dedication of the church's huge new temple in Rome. How interesting is that?
The Mormons have a new temple in Rome?
And the Pope met with them before they dedicated it.
Well, that's the first I've heard of that. I mean,
yeah.
I guess, where have we been, sir?
I don't know.
So let me get this right. So Joseph Smith's belief or vision.
Well, let me correct you for a moment, if I may.
All right.
Actually, Joseph Smith's church is not the Utah church, because just a few miles from my maybe location here in American Flyover Country sits the Church of God Temple Lot, which is a Mormon offshoot, which has possession of the lot that all of the Moroni's on top of the temples point to. And it's the place where they believe that Jesus is going to come back. And it's their church, not the Utah church, that has always been led by a biological descendant of Joseph Smith.
It's hard to keep up with this.
It is, isn't it?
I mean,
but before you were so rudely interrupted.
Well, no. I mean, I apologize. It was a poor choice of words.
Well, no one knows that. I just found that out the other day. I'm going to be touring that, and I'm trying to get an interview with a literal physical descendant of Joseph Smith. How cool would that be to talk to a descendant of Joseph Smith?
So he's always been one of those. By the way, allow me to digress just a second. Edgar Casey. Now,
The
I
sleeping
was a
frog.
student of his Enlightenment Center. You know, one of his major prophecies has come to pass.
Which one?
I saved it out. It was on the Drudge Report last night. They have found that door under the Sphinx.
Oh, have they found that door under the Sphinx? I got my second cup of coffee delivered, Wayne. So now I'm starting to spring forward a little bit.
Yes. So think about this. He has been ridiculed for decades on the
Edgar
way
Cayce.
that he channeled, the way that he received information. And the being speaking through him said that, and in fact, if we look back in the time frame, we're right where he said that this would be happening. And it was announced yesterday that it looks like, in fact, they have found a door under the Sphinx.
That is amazing. And while the Vatican offered no details of Francis's audience with the church president, Russell Nelson, the Latter-day Saints said it was the first ever meeting between a pope and the head of their church. And the two men discussed, Wayne, religious liberty, family, and youth. Now, that must have been an interesting discussion.
So
I'm just wondering if the leader of the Mormon church presented Pope Francis with his own monogram set of sacred underwear. Does Pope Francis have sacred Mormon underoos underneath his dress today? That's what I'm wondering.
I don't know. See, Wednesday was Ash Wednesday, right? Where everyone's walking around with dead people on their heads.
And a kid in Utah, it all comes full circle, was forced to wash his Ash Wednesday cross off his face by his teacher,
who was probably Mormon.
who the chances are very good was Mormon.
Gotta love this.
Yeah, it was. I remember when I was pastoring a church in Iowa Falls. Is that what it's called? Iowa Falls. Anyway, one of the big cities in Idaho Falls. I was pastoring a church in Idaho Falls, which is more Mormon per capita than Salt Lake City. And I got a call to come to the school, and my son was in trouble for telling the class that Joseph Smith was not a prophet of God. So we went out for ice cream, pony rides, bought him a car, all that stuff. That was good work, son.
Oh, man. Well, two things on Joseph Smith. I often wonder if Joseph Smith didn't meet an angel, that he met an archon, an ET.
I wrote a book, Wayne, called Joseph Smith Was Not a Liar.
Yeah.
He did meet an angel.
Yeah, I think
If you read the history of the Mormon Trek West from New York through Illinois through Johnson County.
Marconi,
Missouri.
right?
Huh?
Marconi?
Moroni.
Oh, Moroni. Thank you.
Yeah. Marconi was another
Name of the radio.
Anyway. But if you read that history, it's supernatural. They were guided by a supernatural power. And you got to love this, Wayne. We have much in common, tweeted the Mormon church leader afterwards. The differences in doctrine between us and the Catholics are real. But check this out, Wayne. They're not nearly as important as the things we have in common, said the Mormon leader to the Catholic leader. You can't make this stuff up.
This is the cult of Bacchus. This is Hellenism. This is the convergence of the one. I mean, that's what I'm seeing.
Well, it's definitely the conversion. It's definitely, I'm telling you, we will probably live to see Pope Francis, a Christian leader, plastic Jesus, a high priest, and an imam standing on the Temple Mount dedicating the Christian shrine, the Jewish temple, and the Muslim mosque.
Yeah.
And they'll divide us up into thirds. Christians get 1/3 of the earth. Ooh.
We're screwed.
Talk about
Where does our kind go?
Oh, we're on the first train to Dachau, bro.
I mean, suddenly I got Leon Russell in my head. Welcome back to the island. They're going to ship all of our sorry butts right off, and they're going to do what the English did with
Dude,
theirs.
Revelation 9:18, and this just hit me. Revelation 9:18 talks about a third of the earth being killed. They're gonna divide us up into threes, and they've been telling us for 2,000 years, and we're too stupid to recognize it because we want to know anyway.
So the foundation of everything that we've talked about, I want to know who the son of a bitch is behind the curtain. This is my whole trek. I mean, that's the whole thing when I went through the Lilith series, the whole bit. I want to know, Jeff, we haven't nailed this sucker down yet. I mean, this dude or it, whatever it may be, it's like trying to herd cats.
And you know what? I hate to say it, but Moroni, the Mormon angel that gave the revelation to Joseph Smith, his name is Moron I. I'm just saying.
More on I.
Moroni. Moron space I. It could be said.
Interesting.
I Moron. Wasn't there a movie called I Robot?
Yes, there was. But I'd like to get the.
But are Mormons any more morons for believing that angel than the false angel that gave them their Bible? No. They're equally moronic.
I find it very interesting, the terminology that they use, that word. So this then indicates that there are extraterrestrials that have intervened in man's development or
absolutely
lack thereof.
And Joseph Smith probably would have had a YouTube channel. I mean, Joseph Smith was a really good diviner. He was a magician for all intents and purposes. He was an occultist. He was a great occultist. So Joseph Smith would have been probably a guest on the Rex Bear show.
Well, let's talk about this. So I grew up in the time that was called before the charismatic movement, and we saw that swoop in. But I still can remember, watching Earl Roberts on television, seeing his healing crusades. I can still remember Billy Graham and his great crusades. Catherine Coleman, Smith Wigglesworth. This era that
Don't leave out Peter Popoff now.
Well, that he came a little bit later, but 100 years ago, Jeff, the world was experiencing a spiritualist revival. And it just so happened that in this country, it was very much focused because the fringe, not the mainstream Christians, but it was the fringe, the Catherine Coleman's Camp Crusades. I mean, you remember the great healing miracles.
Which gave us Benny Hinn, by the way.
Yeah. But these things were happening. People were, in fact, getting healed. Miraculous stories were taking place. The Azusa Street revival that took place in Los Angeles.
Turn of the century, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, those were all real happenings. It's where John G. Lake came out. John G. Lake.
John G. Lake. I haven't heard that in a while.
Yeah, well, I love his. I got all of his books, and I'm reading them. And
A. Allen.
The thing I found about Lake, he was a spiritualist. He really was. He understood something that transcended even the dogma of Christianity. And of course, he eventually was outcast and ended his life. It was very tragically. But anyway, I digress.
Oh, John G. Lake did?
Yeah.
I didn't know he committed suicide.
No, he died blind, broke, and destituted.
Did he get syphilis?
I don't think so. I mean, but this is the guy who was recorded actually holding bubonic plague in his hand.
Yeah, and it dying under the microscope. Yeah.
I mean, yeah. So again, I often question: are we seeing? We move through space, or so they tell us. And if we're moving through space, we're going through space we've never been through. So the space that we're seeing as space has only been space in front.
Right. And I think it's pretty hard to argue against that. But anyway.
You did a video on the clouds, Lauren. You're finally seeing it yesterday.
I couldn't believe it. I'm sitting there looking out the window, deciding I'm getting ready to go plunge. And I'm like, look at those clouds. I could reach up and touch them. It's
Yeah,
craziness.
it is. Something's happening. Question I have, are we going through a region of space that is impacting everything that we're
Oh, a
seeing?
very dense region of space, maybe.
See,
And the closer you get to a black hole, doesn't it get denser and denser?
it does. It does. We do our show
So
on
maybe life really does suck, and it's a black hole sucking us towards it,
some
and we're
contend.
getting denser and denser and denser. It's funny because I had a shaman tell me some years ago, 5, 6, 7 years ago, that everything was condensing. The astral is being squeezed out of existence, and the dimensions are coming together. And you're either going to be ready to live in the higher dimension, or you're going to be, if you want to survive this one, go back to the trees because it's going to get ugly.
I think we're being tested now. I really do. I think the gods are restless. I just got this sense. It's like that itch. When you walk in through electrical field, high EMF field. It's like, man, what the hell? I
I was going to tell you if you're itching, Wayne, they got a spray for that.
So talking about anniversaries, what was it? 5 years ago? No, I guess 7 years ago would have been Fukushima.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah. And I don't know if you've ever seen this, Jeff, but I happen to have some very interesting footage of that disaster. And
That's that little creature thing?
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that was odd.
So, are we going to see another event like this? I don't know. But there's creatures that live out there. I can show that if you want to see that.
Yeah, please do. And just for those that are wondering, I did a little poll on that cloud show that says, why do you think the clouds are so low? Option 1, Planet X, nobody, which is crazy. Option 2, chemtrails, 16%. Option 3, better drugs these days, 0%. And the far runaway winner, 83% of the respondents say atmospheric changes are causing the clouds to be so low now.
I agree with them.
Not one Planet X. I thought Planet X caused everything. But Wayne, most sighting, I've it's been confirmed that most sightings of Planet X are actually reflections of Uranus.
You love stirring the pot, don't you?
Who, me?
No, no way, no way. So, this is raw
And you
footage.
said the pot, Uranus pot.
Uranus, by the way, is that planet is no longer in its orbit.
So you're saying that Uranus is out of sorts?
It's more than out of sorts. It literally, yeah.
What is that called? What's that disease called? Not Crohn's, but there's another one. Ulcerative.
Also, ulceritis
yeah. So cosmic colitis.
Cosmic colitis. This is the one footage that
they're turning the frogs gay.
Dogs and cats living together. I know this doesn't look very benign. That fence that you see that wall there, Jeff.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that wall is 15 feet high.
Wow.
So
are they trying to keep something out or something in?
Well, they do have sometimes abnormally high tides. Watch the boat on the left. This begins to show you the power of these waves. You don't think they're that big. What's that?
Nigel says that Uranus is a gas giant.
Well, it's out of its orbit, so something is perpetrating its. So check out. This is.
These are just waves coming in.
Yeah, I don't know what that is. Little. Here we go. So this is the first initial wave.
This is the first commercial.
Yeah, it actually had a
Tuesday, $2 cheeseburger and chips.
And they're good. So that boat over on the left is eventually going to be in the town. You can see it right now that
wow.
These are powerful, powerful waves.
And this is Fukushima.
Yes, this is actually right down the coast from that. And now you can see the second surge coming in. And look at the boats over on the left. They're starting to actually, there it goes.
Yeah, they're listing.
It just got tore from the dock. That tells you the strength of this.
All by the power of water.
Yeah. Look at the other one coming in. So now they know that that ship, and watch the wall. This is, yeah, it's.
And those of you waiting for your ship to come in,
Yeah, there it
here's a
is.
lesson.
And now the second wave is coming in. You can see, and there are just multiple waves coming one after the other. So wait till this starts actually. Watch the boat.
And this is from Fukushima?
Yeah, yeah. This was the raw footage.
So was there also a typhoon or something, or was this all just from
the earthquake? This is the tsunami. And I've got even better footage of, look at this. Think about it. Now you can see where the dock was at one time.
And these aren't little boats.
No, these are pretty good. Now, look at all these cars.
Footer. That other one was probably 100-foot boat.
So this water is still coming, still rising, and it's about to go over. Once it goes over the wall, I think in this little town here, they only had a handful of survivors.
And this is the ocean, right? This isn't a river.
No, this is the ocean. Look at the guy driving. They have no idea what's behind this, or maybe they do. I don't know. Look at the boat that just capsized. Did you see that?
Crazy. People just driving down the road.
Yeah, yeah. And I would guess that water is about to crest over that wall. I mean, and on the other side of this channel, that's a huge fish packing plant. And it eventually all becomes, you can see the fires already on the horizon.
That's craziness.
That completely is submerged by 30 feet of water eventually. And I keep on thinking of the people here, and he's pointing it out now. He sees what's happening to the island over there, the fish factory. So he realizes something, this isn't going, look at that.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, so here we go, Jeff. It's always been fascinating footage, and you can see how far it's going up on their wall.
What a horrific thing to see that happen.
Yeah, so we'll forego the commercials on this again, but I'll speed this up a little bit so you can see. There we go. It's now breached. I'll pull back.
Wow.
So you can see now, here's the breach.
Ooh. The
big surge is hitting now. And the debris field that you're seeing is from miles down. Look at what happens.
And that is cold, cold water, folks.
Yes. And look at the force.
Yeah.
Look at the boats. I mean, you can't imagine the force. That building there. Now, I don't know about the guy shooting this. Did you see the car that just came over the wall? I mean, I'd have to begin to think to myself, am I high enough?
Yeah, really.
So anyway.
More ways than one, probably.
Yeah. Hey, I hope they had some vape. But this is sad. I mean, a lot of people lost their lives. It's still one that the force of this. Now, give me a second here. I wanted to show you the Fukushima creature that was actually caught.
Wayne, what do we say about these? Let me rephrase that. What do we say about this idea that there's no such thing as planets?
No such thing as planets. I don't understand that.
Me either.
If there's no such thing as planets, then that's a different form of reality. This is the village that was, this is a canal. The water has all been sucked out. They've had the tsunami warnings, and this gives you an idea. So let me advance it so you can see it now. Here's the first wave. These poor people have no idea the hell that's about to hit them. As you can see, they're just walking very casually. And at first, you don't think that this wave coming in is any big deal. I mean, it's probably a couple of feet, but look what happens. And I think she's beginning to realize, uh-oh. So this water, this that has been sucked backwards, is now being thrown back upstream. And wait till you see the power of it. It just, of course, you got to have the iPhone out. Now watch the boats here. You didn't think it was that powerful, did you?
No, it just looked like a little wave.
Yeah, look at that. It's tossing these boats as though it was nothing.
And that's not a very big wave. Is that maybe
No.
6 feet?
Yeah.
Not even 6 feet. It's like 3 feet. How can it have that much power? That's bizarre.
And it doesn't diminish.
That is bizarre. I mean, what is that? Is that just water, or is that more of an energetic wave?
No, it's just water.
It's been going so far for so fast.
Yes, and in fact, when you look on the map, this is already 5 miles inland.
Wow.
Look at that. Now I'm going to advance this so you can really get the power of what you're seeing here, because
Kinetic energy, yeah. Is it going? I mean,
it's flowing backwards.
It's flowing backwards. Okay, so
this is backwards.
It's kind of. Is it flowing uphill?
Yes.
Wow, that's even more amazing.
Look at this. Now this guy who's filming this, so now he is trying to find a place of safety. You know, Civil Patrol. Remember that little tiny river?
Wow.
Now this is real important. Remember these buildings, folks. These are buildings you could see. So now Civil Defense is trying to tell everyone, I don't have the sound on this, but the tsunami warnings are going off everywhere. Look at this. This is an elementary school. People are already getting to the high place. Remember this area right here.
Wow.
And you can see now it's about to breach, which was never supposed to breach. This video, by the way, goes for over 30 minutes, and the water never stops the intensity. These people here, that will not exist in about, let me go over here.
That's just crazy.
So now.
And people aren't even thinking about it. They're just like, oh, look at this water. It's kind of weird.
So remember where we saw them standing right there in the corner on the left? Now comes the water.
Oh.
And remember all those buildings. You saw those buildings because this is the deluge that comes in now.
Wow.
And all those buildings on the other side of the river, they all eventually burn. Now you can see the destruction is now going inland.
Golly. From water.
From water. I mean, it gets crazier. They're on the 3rd story watching the devastation underneath. There's a guy, and I've taken it out, but the dead bodies start flowing.
Oh.
Because I don't think the people really fully understood. Look at the playground. It's gone.
Yeah.
Those trees. Look at the force of that water, Jeff.
Yeah.
So the big thing that always got me.
And so if our Earth stops, if it slows down, the waters aren't going to slow down, and could happen everywhere.
Boy, you just nailed it, Jeff. That's the problem. The Earth can be slowing down, but the winds and the wind jet stream won't. And look at this.
And the water will slow down a lot faster than slower than the land, so it would be just like this.
Did you see the poles going down?
Yep.
I mean, look at that. There's a house. It's gone. I mean, and the creature comes out here in a couple of seconds. But
so not to go here, but if the Earth were flat, there should be no way that this could happen, is there?
I
Water
don't.
always finds its level, right?
Yeah, it's supposed it would never go. Look at I just this is the type of devastation that people don't understand. So anyway, there you go.
And Wayne, rushing in where you ever have a thing where you know that it should be done and you can prove it, but you wonder if it's worth the time?
Yeah.
Because right now I'm looking at, I can prove that the Bible, as we know it, is a Jesuit document. I can prove that flat earth theory is based on the Bible. Ergo, flat earth theory is based on Jesuit doctrine. But is it worth it?
They'll argue with you. I mean, well better than any one other person.
Yeah.
If you're convinced, you could prove to them all day long, and they're not going to say, no, I don't believe it.
And it's such a sob. The Jesuit global theory, the Jesuit round globe, they have engineered you so bad. They have mind warped you so bad that you don't even know you've been mind warped. And I can prove it to you, but just like Eric Freeman, Bible says flat earth. That's my point, Eric. And the Bible's a Jesuit document, so you're spouting Jesuit doctrine. But it's not going to change one flat earth person's opinion. And everybody that doesn't believe in flat earth will say, oh, yeah, that's true. So what's the use of it?
And my
clicks.
My point, the question I have to all this debate, how does this do humanity any good?
Exactly.
I mean,
it's the biggest truth, Wayne. It's the only truth.
You know what the only truth is? The day Homo sapiens sapiens stand up and say, we don't believe in any of these false gods.
Exactly. We don't believe in any of it.
Any of them. In fact, I keep on saying this, Jeff, we have to have this summit, because if a God truly is a God, it will have to manifest and bring its resume.
They won't manifest.
They won't.
They're afraid.
I know that. They never manifest. They're cowards.
They're afraid of us.
But yet, we'll debate flat earth, and yet our species, this continues to digress.
But Wayne, I just wonder, I've got this feeling, and it's gone away for a while, but it could come back. I was really feeling very strongly about 6 months ago that there are gods out there, demigods, gods, divine beings, whatever you call them, that would be willing to work with us to try to get this thing back together.
I think they're just waiting for us to ask. We've been asking the wrong crowd.
Do you think they would manifest?
I do. I really do.
Yeah, I do too.
I do. One day we're going to grow up, Jeff.
Yeah, we have to.
It's just like this. I love it that the greatest percentage of the people said the atmosphere is changing. Atmospheric changes. That's what's happening. If the dinosaurs.
Eric, if you believe that, bro, you got some studying to do.
Oh. You think about Jurassic Park. We always love to think about the dinosaurs. Dinosaurs couldn't exist today. The atmosphere would never allow them to grow to that size of gargantuism. So it tells me.
Is that true?
Oh, yeah. Well, you got barometric pressure, right?
Right.
So you have a creature that, let's say, is 50 stories high. That'd be 500 feet.
Here's a new one. The Mandela effect was the return of Christ.
Wow. Who knows? But anyway, the earth is changing. That's all I do know.
Dinosaurs never existed.
Well, really? I had the Smithsonian as my client for a number of years. I can tell you down in the labs where they're redoing that those are bones.
This is an interesting point, though. Meat and Potato Burrito says, how can you have gas pressure without a container?
Well, I'll tell you, I do not feel that we firmly have a grasp on what the firmament really means.
Yeah.
We now found out that the Earth's atmosphere extends out over 1 million miles. I contend that we can't see levels of what I would call different existences within the
Yeah.
firmament.
When I say facts aren't what they used to be and never were.
I love that, Jeff.
I stole that from my stepfather. He
That's
says
cool.
things aren't the way they used to be and never were.
It's a different time. It's
Yep.
just, I look at it today. We're changing. We really are. Socialism. Who would ever thought that we would ever see a time in America where socialism was even discussed on the same par of free market systems? I mean, I'm going, when did this happen? When did we become an anti-Semitic, racist government? I'm seeing things and I'm going, why is our government spending money like there's no tomorrow?
See, the thing I don't understand is Bernie Sanders is supposed to be a socialist, right?
He's no socialist.
How can you say you're a socialist and be for socialism when you're not a socialist?
There's no socialist at all. If there's
That's
any,
like me being for black rights.
even
It's the Dave Chappelle show, the world's only black white supremacist.
Even the AOC. I mean, she's a fraud. I mean,
Well, she's the American Idol of politicians. Her and
yeah.
Iman won an American Idol, a political American Idol. But Cliff High made a great statement. I mentioned that. He says, well, would you rather have somebody that has their own convictions and really believes this, or would you rather have somebody that just answered a casting call and is just playing a role?
None of these people are for real. I mean,
No.
they're flying their private jets now. I'll tell you, her boyfriend's going to get indicted.
Yeah, AOC's got a subway station about 3 blocks from her place. Loves a Green New Deal, but was taking Uber up the Uranus. But she wouldn't go get on the damn subway because, I'm AOC. I'm far too important for that. So they don't really have convictions. They want to be rock stars, just like Obama.
That's all they're going to do. And now I guess the Muslim community is saying that Obama was a fraud, which I'm shocked to hear that. It's
cover because they don't want you to figure out he was a Muslim.
Wow. And I'm going, what is going on? And, of course, we're in politics, but whoa.
Wayne, is it a coincidence that Joan Rivers said Michelle was transgender and Obama was homosexual, and within 2 weeks she was dead? Is that a coincidence?
She done pissed somebody off.
And she was being very nice. She's like, don't worry, it's not a big deal. We already have a transgender. We already have homosexual. Don't get yourself all upset. She was trying to be calming. She was trying to be rational. But she said the wrong thing. And, yeah, she went in for a throat polyp or something.
Yeah.
And, sorry, Miss Rivers, but your ticket has been
gone,
cashed in.
Hey, Jeff, I know we're going over.
So the answer to can we talk is no.
No. And here's the other thing. Luke Perry died of a massive stroke, 52
years old.
I just read that the Miss Teen International, 20 years old, died of a heart attack.
Let me jump in here before I forget this, Wayne. And I know I interrupt you and people are going to yell at me about it. Eric Freeman.
Oh.
Barack empty suit Obama did nothing for us black people. He didn't do anything for us white people either, actually.
I was going to say, there's no politician I've ever found that was ever good at anything but making themselves rich.
The real problem I have with Obama, and I know this is one of my hobby horses, and I mention it all the time, but the U.S. population of blacks, somewhere around 20-ish%, but the population of blacks in the prisons, over 70%.
Yeah.
And Obama didn't say one damn word about that. And don't sit there and tell me that black people commit 70% of the crime. I think that's just ridiculous. It's just because I think by and large, it's an economic argument. They want prisons get paid to have people in them. The easiest way to get people and keep people in a prison is get people that can't afford a good lawyer.
It's a predatory system.
So why didn't Barack Obama do something about that?
Well, actually, what he did under his administration is that he privatized more of the prison system than in any other president.
So he did everything. He actually went against the blacks.
Yeah, made it worse.
Obama wasn't really black. He was kind of brown or whatever. You know,
Milano. Yeah, I think. And the thing is, the system is so predatory.
it is predatory.
So you have a family, both husband and wife working
Ooh,
for
that's a good
minimum
argument.
wage. That the system is designed to, if you run afoul, let's say you get a speeding ticket, you don't pay the ticket, so now the fine is like triple.
Mm-hmm.
So then
Oh yeah.
they put a warrant out for your arrest. You can't pay the ticket to begin with. You
And
get
now you're in
arrested.
jail. Yep.
They take you to jail. Now they impound your car. Yeah, the next thing you know, you're out on the street.
So Wayne, people that were captured in their native land, brought here, used as slaves for, let's just say, 100 years against their will, obviously, are they due reparations?
Can I just
40 acres and a mule? I don't know. That's a decent argument.
Why don't we talk about the white slavery?
Well, we're talking about institutional slavery from this country.
No, and that's what I'm talking about. You only hear about the blacks. We don't hear about the white slaves that came from Ireland. We're not hearing about the white slaves that came from Germany. We're not talking about the white slaves that were brought in here against their will, sold, not just on the city market. So I hear this and I'm going, this is a damn lie. It's a preparation of nothing more than pandering to weak-minded people.
Yeah.
Slavery has no color.
It's an interesting argument for sure.
I'm sorry, but it riles my ass up because no one talks about the white slave markets that went through Rikers Island right into New York City.
Yeah, that's true. That's interesting. That's interesting.
You don't hear about in the times of the colonies. Whites were just as much slaves as blacks.
Yeah.
You don't hear that.
Interesting stuff.
Well, I'm sorry, Jeff, but if we're going to be honest about this, if you're going to talk about reparations, then why don't you just go ahead and write a check out to everybody?
Ooh, what about the Chinese?
Exactly.
There was probably more Chinese slaves
than there
were black slaves and black slaves. Yeah.
Yeah. It was the slave market of the Chinese that built the American railroad system out west.
Absolutely.
I mean, you don't hear the politicians talking about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because, supposedly we have this male white power, and I'm going, what the hell are you people talking about? You distort
No, we just want to talk about black slavery. No. If we're going to talk about slavery and reparations for it, we got to talk about all the slavery.
Hey, come on. I mean, all the races should be represented,
that were really slaves.
Yes.
So probably the Chinese are in the front of that line.
Oh, by far. They were more abused. At least the blacks got freedom. The Chinese didn't.
Yeah.
The Chinese, it's one of the greatest travesties.
Now it's getting ugly.
What?
Yeah, I'm not even going to repeat it.
Well, there we go. You see, not your normal Sunday morning, but
you'd say I'm the one that's got to stir it up.
But it's true, though. I mean, if we're going to talk history, let's be honest about history. The history that we get today is the one that's been synthesized, one that has been positioned to exploit a particular agenda.
Yeah. And that's why I know, like, Nigel's talking about amazing Chinese culture, and I agree. But how could you just take 1,000 years out? You would have to have the Chinese agree to do it, the Westerns agree to do it. If there's more than one calendar, you just can't take 1,000 years out of one calendar and say, boom, it's gone, because there's more than one calendar.
Well,
how do you get them all to agree to it?
How do you get the Hindu calendar? I mean,
exactly.
The Chinese, I look at them as the most accurate timekeepers of our species.
Napoleon did say the history is a set of lies agreed upon.
Yeah, it's a fact. And history is only told through the victor's point of view.
Exactly.
You never see the guy that got his butt kicked. Well, wait a minute, that wasn't quite like that. You're going, well, I'm sorry, Jack, your story's out of here. Boy, I know we stirred up, but you know what? It's one of those things because it's so anti-politically correct to actually say to someone, well, what about the white slaves?
Yeah.
What about the Chinese slaves?
Let me just say this: if you got your hand out, wait for somebody to give you something, it's probably going to be a long wait. Unless you're streaming across the southern border.
They're going to take it like candy. I mean, if it's ever offered, I'll guarantee you they're going to run and take the deal.
Yeah.
They will, Jeff. And it's going to be leaving people like us going, so now what happens? This is the collapse, by the way, that we saw take place in the Greek society, the same thing that happened in Rome, the same thing that happened in Britain. All of them all collapsed because the producers were taxed beyond the ability to produce.
And Representative Omar says over 90%. Yeah.
Yeah, they will. Overwhelmingly.
Like, I'm going to try to make more money so I can give you 90% of it.
Yeah. And that's what the problem. And look what's happening with the tax exodus out of New York.
Yeah.
Do you know what they're now auditing? They're going back to the residents that have moved to, particularly with Florida, and they're auditing 5 years back. I mean,
just because you moved out of New York, they're auditing you.
Yep.
To the maximum that they're allowed to audit you.
Yep. It's an automatic red flag. It's costing some taxpayers thousands and thousands of dollars. Yeah.
That is a mafioso tactic.
It's exactly it is. We're gonna put the squeeze on you.
Yeah. It's called organized crime. The IRS is sort of organized.
Well, I mean, I often look at this thing and I'm going, they certainly politicized it in the Obama administration.
Yeah.
Whatever happened to our friend, what was her name? Miss Lauren? What was her name? Oh, I can see her face. Our IRS commissioner that, yeah, anyway. As they say, don't mess with the IRS. They're the only agency I know that can go beyond the grave.
Yep.
So they're dealing with some kind of powerful archon.
Craziness.
Could you imagine you pass over there and you get your Jeffrey Doherty? You're going, what? IRS.
Wait, anybody else you want to piss off before we leave?
Well, let's see. I think we just about got everybody.
I think we did.
Jeff,
we got the flat earthers, we got the planet Xers, we got both races upset, all 4 or 5 races upset because I mentioned the southern border. Yeah.
I
think we covered everyone.
I think we pissed off both political sides.
We didn't upset women. How do we upset women?
I don't know.
I love the women's movement.
Lois Lane
walking behind it.
Lois Lerner, that's who it was. Thank you.
There we go. Lois Lane changer.
Yeah. Well, Jeff, what's you got going this week, buddy?
Oh, all kinds of good stuff, man.
Yeah?
Yep. All kinds of good stuff.
Good. You going to give us any idea?
No.
All right. Fine.
Because I'm not really sure yet.
Big storm coming middle of the week, folks.
Snow and stuff?
Here in Colorado, this one looks to be potentially a big one. And let me just bring a little science to this. I'm saying this now. If everything comes together the way that they're saying, we should also be being impacted by the first hit of the CME that erupted on Friday.
First sunspot. CME?
Coronal mass ejection. First sunspot group that we have seen in
Sounds
months.
Like a porno title.
Well, the thing about it was a small little sunspot group. Of course, it was 10 times bigger than the Earth. But anyway, it started popping. The first ejection hit out on Friday, and the thing came alive again yesterday. So we should hit the first wave on Wednesday when this low pressure system, my friend, will be to the west of you and just to the east of us.
Well, we'll hold on.
Yeah, we'll see.
We'll see what happens.
Jeff, thanks, buddy.
Well, if you didn't get offended this morning, you must have been asleep. And that's what we're here for. For Wayne Steiger, I'm Jeffrey Daugherty. This is not your normal Sunday show. And we'll be back next week to slap everybody around again. Until then, Have a nice day.
Bye.